Hello and welcome. I'm Rossi Sanchez, and this is the Mindful Evening Hour. Today, we'll be talking about the difference between pain and suffering. Hopefully, it won't be too painful and you won't suffer through it too much. We've all experienced pain, right? Whether it's getting a tooth pulled, breaking an arm or a leg, playing sports, undergoing surgery, or losing the one you love. Or in my case, having an acorn fall on my face as I was observing a squirrel climb a tree. Now that hurt. I think we can all agree that pain is a sensation or sensations that cause physical discomfort and emotional distress. The wonderful thing about pain, though, is that while we can remember it, we can remember how much it hurt, we can't recall exactly how it felt, which is really a blessing. Now, when it comes to suffering, it's a bit harder to define. In fact, dictionaries have a hard time with it. Cambridge English defines suffering as physical or mental pain. Hmm. While Merriam Webster can't seem to find other words to describe it other than the word itself, the state or experience of one that suffers. Great. It's no wonder we can't distinguish between these two words. But while dictionaries wobble a bit on their definition of suffering, neuroscientists have narrowed the meaning to, drumroll, stickiness in the parts of the brain that deal with emotions. And they credit two things with being the cause of suffering: attachment and aversion. Attachment, clinging, grasping, all mean sort of the same thing, is when the mind becomes fixated on wanting something. It's what keeps us thinking about the future: the new car, new lover, new house, new job or promotion, new body, new skin, new hair, whatever. We cling to these things we desire, focus on the fact that we don't have them, and proceed to beat up on ourselves for not doing a better job of procuring them. Addictions are an example of extreme attachment or stickiness. You're constantly chasing that feeling, that high, that elation. You're never satisfied. Aversion, on the other hand, is when the mind is fixated on keeping something away or getting rid of it. It's what keeps us thinking about the past, not wanting to accept change or seeing things as they once were, and therefore surmising that they cannot be any different. Not wanting our children to grow up and be independent, believing that because one relationship ended one way, all others have to end the same way, or when we lose sleep over our employer's most recent reorg. These are feelings of stickiness, and while they may seem normal because we're used to them, they're not. We're just conditioned to think this way. So, how do we unstick ourselves? The answer is to accept and let go. We're constantly having desires and wishes. That's part of the human experience and how we evolve. But haven't you noticed how the things, the people, circumstances, and experiences that you so wish for sometimes show up when you least expect them? It's happening to me more and more now because I'm no longer focused on the thing itself. It used to be that I'd get an idea. I want to move to Maui. And I would proceed to research how, when, where, how much. And that idea would grow and grow and grow. And when I took the time 3 days later to notice that I wasn't in Maui yet, I'd start to suffer because there's no way I'll ever be able to live there. How can I sustain myself on an island? Yada, yada, yada. Makes sense? You keep yourself from dreaming or actually achieving your dream. You give up. Has that ever happened to you? Now, when I get one of my brilliant ideas, I just think, wouldn't it be nice? And imagine it for a bit and then go on with whatever it is I'm doing. As we saw last week, when we focus on the task at hand, the thing in front of us, the moment, our default mode network, the node in our brain that keeps blabbering in our ears about me, mine, and I, shuts down. And you can truly experience the joy that comes from being totally absorbed in what you're doing. So you're not constantly thinking about that desire or the not having of it, which is what makes you suffer. You can just let it go. Now, letting go doesn't mean you let go of what you want. Forget Maui. It's too hot there anyway. No, it just means you don't make it the object of your constant attention. You're all or nothing. You can daydream about it as long as that feels good. But if you start to get down on yourself, then you'll want to go back into whatever it is you're doing and focus on that and let it go. Now, with aversion, what happens is you're closed off. Again, you're in the past, certain that the way it's always been is the way it's always going to be. You know anybody like that? My daughter needs me 24/7. I'm never going to find another job. My relationships are always going to end badly. And so you shut out any new and exciting experiences, any new connections, any adventures. This is the stuff life is made of. Now, the way to release that is obviously by opening up and letting whatever come. Don't try to stop things from happening. Wait till they do. You may be surprised to find that they didn't turn out at all how you imagined that they would. That they're actually not that bad, or even better, they're pretty good. Who knew? The key to not suffering is in flowing with life, accepting that what is, as opposed to trying to control what you think it is. Remember, we're all seeing life through a very tiny slit. There's a lot more going on in the universe that we're aware of, which is why you never know. Anything is truly possible. Something else that's interesting about suffering is that it's not always due to pain, but sometimes it anticipates pain, it precedes it. An example is when we receive a beautiful bouquet of flowers and it brings us great joy to look at, smell them, enjoy them. And before they start to wilt, we start dreading that they're not going to last forever. Or when we start to anticipate the end of our idyllic vacation, even though we still have a few more days in paradise. Does that make sense? Several years ago, a study was conducted with two different groups: yogis with many hours of meditation under their sashes. That's a joke. Yogis wear yoga pants. And a control group of volunteers. They were all tested to find their individual threshold for heat and pain and strapped with thermal stimulators. There were 2-inch plates on their wrists. It's somewhat like a watch, which are devices that neurologists use to gauge deterioration in your nervous system. In this experiment, everyone knew that they were going to get a 10-second blast of heat. So at first, the plate feels nice and warm, but then the temperature increases several degrees within a couple of seconds, and suddenly you can't take it anymore. If it were a hot stove, you'd pull your hand away, but you can't take it off the device. You can't take off the device, so you feel excruciating pain for almost a full 10 seconds, and you're sure you're getting scorched. These simulators, however, have built-in safety devices so people's skin will not burn even as it calibrates their maximum pain threshold. Now, while this experiment was going on, the participants' brains were being scanned. And what the neuroscientists found was that those in the control group, the volunteers, the moment the play heated just a bit, heralding the beginning of the pain, they activated the brain's pain matrix. That's the area of the brain that responds to pain, as if they were already feeling the intense burn. That's called anticipatory anxiety. So their anticipatory anxiety, in fact, got so high by the time the actual burning sensation started that their pain matrix activation didn't make much of a difference by then. In other words, their anticipation was almost as high as the pain threshold. Afterwards, in the 10-second recovery period, their matrix stayed nearly as active. There was no immediate relief of the pain, even though they were no longer feeling it. The yogis, on the other hand, showed little change in activity in their pain matrix when the plate was warmed a bit, even though they knew what was coming. And during the moments of intense heat, the areas affected by the heat, in other words, the wrist, register the sensations of tingling, pressure, high heat at a surprisingly high level because they were getting scorched, supposedly. But their pain matrix activated a bit, but not as much as the sensory perception on the arm. So they showed less of a psychological response or anticipatory anxiety and more of a reaction of the actual pain on the wrist. And right after the heat stopped, the regions of the brain responsible for the pain or that respond to pain returned to the levels they had prior to the test, as if almost nothing had happened. The reason the yogis reacted to the test the way they did is because they practice open presence and attentional practice of letting whatever life presents come and go without adding thoughts or emotions to the mix, without stickiness. They welcome all sensation, including pain, as their friend, and actually use it to guide their meditation. Since all meditation is awareness, they use the pain as a point of focus so that they can learn to detach, to let go. Imagine that. How's that for a concept? So, next time you have a pain in the butt from sitting all day, take a few minutes, close your eyes, and focus on making that pain your friend. Then come back and tell me if it worked. All kidding aside, anytime we can live without getting stuck, we invite positive and joyful feelings into our lives because we're open and eager. And who doesn't want to live a blissful life? So, how do we do that? How do we keep ourselves from suffering? Here are a few tips. Number one, recognize when you're not in pain and celebrate it. I can relate to this because I have been suffering from chronic pain and back and hip pain for a while, which was aggravated when I exercised. But I love exercising, so I did it anyways. Then one day after exercising, I noticed it didn't hurt. I almost threw a party. It was such a great realization. You see, when we're in pain, we can't wait for the pain to go away, unless we're yogis, of course. But when we don't have pain, we don't acknowledge the relief and give thanks for it. And we should, because what we focus on grows. Focus on relief, relief will grow. Tip number two, do not beat up on yourself. If you catch yourself lusting over the new Tesla Roadster and envying the driver, let it be. Remember, it's just a thought. You don't need to feel bad about feeling envious. That's counterproductive and will only make you feel worse. Number three, don't feed the monsters. Think of the constant pesky thoughts that cause suffering as monsters. They come in droves, they seem to overtake you, and you probably feel that there's nothing you can do to stop them. But there is. You see, these monsters have to eat. And if you don't feed them, they'll go elsewhere. What I mean is, let's say you're angry or frustrated or disappointed, and you're suddenly surrounded by angry, frustrated, or disappointed thoughts, each one fueling the other, repeating the same old story over and over again. But if you make a conscious effort to stop telling yourself these stories by thinking of something else, the thoughts will dissipate. After all, they're your thoughts. You can do with them as you wish. The best thing to do is not to feed them, and they'll go away by themselves. The fourth tip is my personal favorite, is to laugh at yourself. Try to find the humor in your situation. This will disarm the pesky thoughts. They can't beat you up if you're laughing at yourself, can they? And the final tip is to introduce love and kindness into your day. I started doing this at the beginning of this year, and now it's become a constant habit. When I take my mom and my dog out for a walk, I'll run into neighbors, some of whom I know, most of whom I don't. And of course, I'll say hello. But in my mind, I'll also wish them, may you be well, may you be happy. When I first heard about this mindfulness practice, I thought, it's just a bit too crunchy granola for me. But what I found is that I simply can't be critical or judgmental when I say that. I used to be both. And now when I see myself start to go there, look at that guy, won't even say good morning, or some such ridiculous statement like that, I go, oops, I forgot. And I immediately replace it with that wish. And the guy is all right. You can't have a negative thought when you're wishing somebody well. It's just, it doesn't happen. It can't. Try it. I highly recommend this practice for you. I love it. So much so, in fact, that I'm going to invite you to do a similar exercise now. This is a guided mindless, yes, guided mindfulness meditation practice with Tyler. So why don't we sit back comfortably, relax, and listen.
Let's begin by taking a moment to settle your body into a comfortable position. You may close your eyes or keep them slightly open with a soft focus, looking downward a few feet in front of you. Allow your spine to lift and your shoulders to soften. Today, we will practice loving kindness. In this practice, we generate a wish of well-being for ourselves and for others. Take a full breath in and a long, slow breath out. Feel yourself seated and present in this moment. Let's begin by offering wishes of well-being to ourselves. Today we'll use the following phrases, though in the future you may use whatever words are most meaningful to you. May I be well. May I be safe and free from suffering. May I be happy. Repeat these phrases and invite your heart to open to accept them. May I be well. May I be safe and free from suffering. May I be happy. Now bring to mind someone close to you that you care about deeply. Maybe a friend or a family member, maybe a teacher or someone who has helped you. Imagine that person sitting in front of you right now. Think of what you wish for them. May you be well. May you be safe and free from suffering. May you be happy. Or any other words that express what you wish for them. Imagine them receiving your wishes for well-being. Now bring to mind someone who is having a difficult time, who perhaps has experienced loss or is struggling with illness, or maybe having a hard time at work. Imagine that person sitting in front of you. May you be well. May you be safe and free from suffering. May you be happy. Or any other words that express what you wish for them. Now bring to mind someone you see regularly in your life, but for whom you haven't had much interaction with. Maybe you've never spoken. Imagine that person sitting in front of you. May you be well. May you be safe and free from suffering. May you be happy. If you'd like, bring to mind someone with whom you've had some difficulty and offer them the words, May you be well. May you be safe and free from suffering. May you be happy. Now let's extend your wishes to everyone near you right now. May they be well. May they be safe and free from suffering. May they be happy. Think of your friends and your family. May they be well. May they be safe and free from suffering. May they be happy. Everyone you know, everyone who is a part of your life, may they be well. May they be safe and free from suffering. May they be happy. Extend your wishes beyond the place where you are, beyond the people you know, to extend over the entire earth, all people, all animals, all life. May all beings be well. May they be safe and free from suffering. May they be happy. Feeling this sense of well-wishing extending out from you in all directions. Notice how you feel in this moment, the sensations in your body, and the quality of your mind. And again, wish for yourself. May I be well. May I be safe and free from suffering. May I be happy. If you'd like, place a hand on your heart as you say these words to yourself. Breathing in fully and breathing out fully. Allow yourself to be present, complete, here. Whatever your experience was during this meditation, this practice offers benefits. Even if you weren't always able to feel the well wishes or experienced some resistance, that's okay. Simply come back to your intention to practice and experience loving kindness in whatever way you were able and in whatever way feels right to you. Finish with a full, deep breath in and a long, slow breath out.
Oh, what a magnificent tingling sensation. So, what do you notice with regard to your mood or behavior as a result of this practice? Anything?
I felt very connected to all of the world. It just felt like everything my energy kept going out and coming back and going out and coming back, and in a good way, not in a way that I was losing it, but it was, may all the world be safe and free from harm, and all of those wonderful, wonderful things. And it just felt really good to send out that energy and then to sort of get it back. That's kind of what I felt.
Yeah. I kind of pictured myself like stepping away from the planet and just spreading these well wishes, and all of a sudden it's not about you. It's you're outside of yourself, and you're wanting to share these well wishes, and it just feels great. I mean, my whole body was tingling. It just felt amazing.
I think I love it that it's short and he's got a very relaxing tone.
Mhm.
I think we spend so much time in our own bubble that we forget that there are people all over the world that are hurting and suffering. Or I know this is kind of very um, dour, but I often think about the koala bears in Australia, that even down to that level
Yeah.
of wanting the world to just be okay.
Yeah.
For the world's sake, not necessarily for me. So I really appreciated that meditation to kind of feel the connection with something more than myself, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, plenty of causes nowadays, aren't there? But yeah, truly is. Even if you don't have something in mind, it's really helpful. I find that where when it tells you to think of someone who you don't really necessarily know, I find those are very interesting. Because of whoever pops into my head, which may wasn't really thinking about them, but all of a sudden I am. Uh, and it's just, you go, wow, okay, so I have noticed them on some level, or maybe they need it, right? You don't know. Maybe they really need it, and so now you're connecting with them and sending them this wish. So yeah.
I also liked it because it's sort of I don't want to say an active meditation. It's not active, but I'm usually when I meditate, I fall asleep. And this actually to be mindful but restful, but also, it sends me somewhere instead of asleep.
Well,
So
the mindfulness meditations are like that. Like the yogis, it's an attentional stance. So you have to pay attention. I mean, most meditations are, but some of them can, yeah, make you fall asleep. But if you're paying attention like they did, for example, to the pain, then you're obviously aware of it. You're just feeling it. You're not trying to get rid of it, or fighting against it, or judging it, or arguing with it. You're just kind of watching it. Oh, it hurts. Okay. And just feeling it, and then see what happens. I've done that quite a bit, and all of a sudden, poof, um, the pain is gone. Or you focus on another part of my body, um, and then the pain is gone. It's different things that you can do. I've done some mindfulness meditations where I told myself, I felt like sneezing. It's like you're not going to sneeze. You're not going to sneeze. So the whole attention was away from sneezing and onto something else. And it worked, actually. I didn't cough, I didn't sneeze. Um, these things that you really can't avoid, or yawn. Yeah, it was like, no, you're not going to do that. But instead of trying to fight it, I just went somewhere else. I just paid attention to something else. And oof. Oh, I know, I was itching. And it's like, no, you're not going to scratch yourself. Can I really do this? And it worked. It worked. Ever since, I try not to scratch. I did it once. I did it twice. I can keep doing this. But you just
love
focus
it.
on something else. Alrighty. Well, thank you for coming. I truly appreciate the participation, and we will not be meeting next week. take a little hiatus during election day. And we will be meeting the following week. I will have a special 4-part series on love. So come back, may learn something. For now, I am Rossi Sanchez, and this is the Mindful Evening Hour. Good night.